Hello there, everybody. Welcome to UCD, more particularly welcome to UCD Access and Lifelong Learning, to meet our students this afternoon who are going to talk to you all about their experiences of Access courses and where it's brought them and where it's going to take them now. So I'm going to introduce you to all the students on our panel and to my lovely colleagues who work in Access and Lifelong Learning. We call us ourselves all, and our big mission in life is to make UCD a university for all. So we hope that you're going to come on board and be part of the new UCD community into the future and join us in making UCD a university for all. Okay, just for the moment, can I draw your attention down to the bottom of your screen? If you move your mouse around there, you should see a little box that says Q&A. So this is all about you finding out what you need to know about Access courses from students who've been there and done it before you. If you could click on that and type in a question, we'll try and get back to you today. And if not today, we'll get back to you later. And always remember that our website is there and available to you, and my contact details are there, and the whole team at Access and Lifelong Learning are there to support all of our students. Okay, so without further ado, in no particular order, I will introduce you to, oh, I never told you, my name is Thomond. Sorry about that. We're all in this together, learning. Some of you, maybe this is your very first Zoom at all, but it's my very first hosting of a webinar. So I'm feeling the fear and doing it anyway, and put on the lippy today and everything. So I feel like a new woman. I'm going to tell you one interesting fact about myself, and that is, well, two actually. One is that I'm very proud to be a granny, and the other is that I absolutely love sea kayaking. So now I'm going to hand you over to Omalola Adesina. Omalola, will you unmute yourself there and tell us a bit about yourself and your Access journey?
Hi, Thomond, thank you. And I forgot to mention that I like the butterflies behind.
Oh, lovely.
Very cute. I started my Access journey, I think, in 2015. As a matter of fact, I think it was mentioned to me at some FETA course that I did in 2014. Somebody, one of the coordinators just said, why don't you try to get into UCD? And obviously being, I was just finding my way, in Ireland. I'd only been in the country about, I think, 3 years, when I applied to come into the Access. And I was very, very, obviously, it was a very daunting, experience, but I think I met Thomond when I went for my interview. And, obviously, I don't need to tell anybody how sweet she is. And it just from there, it's just been like a bit of magic, being an experience that I wasn't really expecting to have or enjoy, or a family I wasn't really expecting to belong to in a way, and I would say, like, from day one, everybody has been very, very accepting, they couldn't do enough for you, basically, in the Access, community. And I think it's the relationship carries over to the students as well. Some of my best friends to date, I met them during my Access to during my Access course. Fidelma and a few others. We're still very tight, till this day. I think one interesting thing about me, I don't know if it's boring or not, is that for the past 1 year, I've been trying to be a nail artist. I think I told you.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, so like, I think it's just I always have to engage my creative side. So it's either I'm writing something or I'm trying to draw. I'm horrible at drawing, but I still try. And one other interesting thing about me is that I think in 2016, I had about three of my short stories published in a short story collection by South Dublin Council, because there's this writing class that I used to belong to. I used to go to every Friday before I got very busy studying law. And, you know, so I'm a proud author. So that's, you know, that's another interesting fact about me.
Super, Lola. And you just finished your law degree this year.
Yeah. And about that, you know, like when, like, we're saying earlier, you know, when we're having our chat, that when we came in 2015, 2016, if somebody had told us that, you know, we'd be in this situation with the COVID restrictions, nobody would have believed it. Like, if they were like, oh, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? No one would say, you know, this is where we'd all be at. But the interesting thing is that nothing stopped, actually. You know, I think it's kudos to the school, basically, that despite everything, we still finished right on time, right on schedule. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there was no, I mean, we're all scared, but everything just went online.
Yeah, great.
Everything got submitted at the right time. Everybody's graduating at the right time. You know, we're not just there physically, but virtually everybody, you know, is doing what they're supposed to do. And that's, yeah.
Okay, Lola, let's move on to Hayley and hear about Hayley's Access course. Hayley has just finished the Access to Arts, Humanities, Social Sciences and Law program. Over to you.
Hi, so I just finished my first year in the Access to Social Sciences. I was doing a writing course and they spoke about, many of the people there went to UCD, and then I looked online and I found the Access course, and that's why I went ahead and did it. And the interesting fact about myself, I don't like this question because I'm like, I don't think I'm very interesting, but the thing I like most about myself is that I love to write. And I feel after doing this course, I feel more confident to say that I am a writer. And I would say that to anyone looking to do it, do it. So that's it.
Lovely stuff, Hayley. Look, Lorna, you've just completed your degree in science.
Unbelievably, I have, yeah. I did the access course to science and engineering. The medicine part wasn't in it when I did it in 2015. And yeah, since May, the end of May, I find myself with a science degree, which is really amazing to me.
Not to anybody else.
Well, apparently not, yeah. So it seems. Yeah. The reason I did the access course was because I was working as a healthcare assistant, and I was really interested in patients that I was nursing who had brain injuries or had strokes or dementia, and I thought I would maybe study neuroscience, which is one of the reasons why I applied to do the access course. In the end, I didn't do that. I ended up studying cell biology instead. So my degree is in cell biology. And a little known fact about myself, well, my children know it, is that I absolutely hate cooking. Don't like cooking. And also I'm a weaver as well, which is a very different thing to being a scientist. If I can say that I'm a scientist, I don't know.
Oh, yes, you can. We'll come back and hear more from you in a few minutes. Okay? Yeah. Emma, can we bring you into the conversation? So unmute yourself there. And you,
hi, Thomond.
You did the Access course in 2018, didn't you?
I did. I did the Access to Arts, Humanities and Social Science and Law. Yeah. I actually was thinking about going back to education. I had given up work for personal reasons and wanted something to get me started again, wanted to take a different path, wanted to set a good example for my little boy who's 6. So was very interested in languages, Italian in particular. So I thought I would do a bit of research on that. So I found the video on the UCD website, on the Access website, you know, that video where the Access students are making the cake analogy.
We're going to show it in a few minutes.
Yeah, okay. So I saw that, and while it is a bit corny, I think it absolutely gets the point across. you know, that the Access course is there to support us as learners who might have been away from education for a long time, or who might have, you know, abandoned education early because of issues in school, maybe because of special needs like dyslexia, or, you know, other things that might have caused issues in school for socio-economic reasons and so on. And that there's a place in the Access course, and there's a place in UCD and in third level university for everybody who has any of those issues. So I watched the video, made contact with yourself, Thomond, and did the course, and then started my degree in 2019 in languages and linguistics.
Super.
So here we are.
Here we are. We'll come back to you again.
Oh my God, something about myself. I
Yes.
feel panic. I felt panic stricken when you even said that. But really all I can think of today is that I'm losing my Zoom virginity today. And it's a long time since I lost my virginity, Thomond. So isn't that nice?
Lovely. It's great, Emma. Delighted for you. Okay, Shane. Shane, let's mute her very quickly. God knows what she'll come out with.
How are you, Thomond?
How are you, Shane?
Good, very well. So the interesting fact about me, I suppose, would be that I was in the army for 4 years before I joined UCD, and then I was like, similar to everybody else that spoke this far, it was like they wanted to go towards education and they didn't really know what way was best to do it. But I have to say that the Access course, when you do join and you learn new skills, it's obviously challenging, but over time you get better and you get more confidence in yourself. And I just found it extremely rewarding. And that was the Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences course. And now I'm going into my second year studying law.
Great. Thanks, Shane. We'll talk to you again later.
All
And
good,
now
Thomond.
I'm just going to Barbara. Can I introduce you all to Barbara Fleming, who's not only our Deputy Director in Access and Lifelong Learning, but she also teaches study skills on the Access courses. So some of you are going to meet her and get to know her very well. Barbara, go on and say hello to us and tell us an interesting fact about yourself.
Oh, thank you very much for that. Hi, as Thomond said, my name is Barbara, and I've worked with Thomond for close to 20 years on the University Access programs, and they're very much the favourite part, my absolute favourite part of my work. And I think you'll pick up on the SAS attitude and enthusiasm and expertise of the panel that the University Access programs work, and they give people the confidence and the entitlement that you deserve, that you earn to be part of our university. And you're absolutely a favourite bunch. We're not meant to have favourites, but we do. You'll meet Catherine later, and you will realise that there is real method in UCD's madness in attracting mature students, because you make the best students. And you should all be nodding away to that, because you know you do. And you do because you bring all your common sense and your resilience and your attitude to your study. And I teach that common sense and some of that attitude as well, and I love it. I'm also answering your questions as they're popping up. Distracted Thomond. So an interesting fact. I love red setters, actually. I hate dogs. I'm terrified of dogs, but I have a dog I love, and his name is Rory, and he's a red setter. And when you're talking about Zoom, every now and then he appears in the background, so it looks like my hair expands, then it drops again. So you can keep an eye out for that. So that's me, Thomond.
Thanks, Barbara. Okay, let's move to Vivian. Okay, Vivian, will you unmute yourself there and tell us, you did the Access to SEAM course, and this year you've just completed first year of science. Okay, unmute yourself there. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Vivian Okoro. I just finished my first year biomedical science, and I'm so glad the results were out on Monday. So I was so delighted. I did my Access course 2018, and wow, just my journey, how it started. In 2017, I came into UCD, not knowing where to start, not knowing what to do, but I came in to make inquiry very late. So I met Thomond, and she was advising me to do the access to social sciences, and then because the sciences had already started. So I said no, because I don't want to do something after 1 year and I won't make use of it. So I had to wait another year. And then the challenges I had, moving from Africa, I'm originally from Nigeria. It's coming to a different culture, educational background, and it was so overwhelming. I was thinking of the finances. I was thinking, a lot of things that could have held me back. So, but like I said, it was very good that I came in to make inquiry, and then all the assistance and the help. The 2008, I came in for my access. And then I did the interview and I was accepted. And then, the journey was not easy, being out of school for some years. I didn't know what to expect. I had to do maths all over again. And I know most of us, we're not that I have to do science. So I was so glad that I did very well. And something about Access Course as well is they have all the support that you need. My support center really helped me a lot. It helped me, my confidence in maths was improved. I couldn't believe myself in my first semester in my first year. I had an A in maths. It was all because of, the help of Access, the foundation it gave me, and improved, because during my study skill in my Access, we had to do a lot of study skill, which allows you to write about your experience. You have to write, writing center really helped me in my Access. And I could say that without Access, as a mature student going back to school, I don't think I would have had so much confidence, because it's been a long time I left school, not knowing what to expect, coming to a different background. But I just want to say to anyone that you don't have to be afraid. You're not alone.
Vivian, your sound is a bit funny for the moment.
They have it right there in UCD.
Great. Thank you, Vivian. Oh,
is it?
Vivian, one interesting fact about you.
Okay, I love traveling.
Brilliant. Okay, we'll move on now and talk to Clement. Clement, will you unmute your microphone there?
Yeah.
So you did the Access to Arts, Humanities, Social Sciences and Law course, and now you're in your second year in social science, is that right?
Yeah. I'm studying economics, EMS, economics, mathematics and statistics.
Okay. And Clement, is there any particular thing that you would love to have known before you began the Access course that you would tell people who are listening in now?
Yeah, I did my Access course in 2018. I didn't know anything about the Access course. It was my sister, the one who was recently speaking, Vivian. I heard it from my sister that you can apply for an Access course in UCD, and that time I was really nervous. I didn't know anything about it because the previous year I was applying for schools, but then I wasn't successful. So I absolutely gave up on everything. But then I heard about the Access course from my sister, and I think the time I sent the email, I remember Colin told me that I was one of the last people to send the emails, and when I went for the interview, that was my first time meeting Thomond, and I was totally shaken. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to do. But then, thankfully, when I did my interview with Thomond, everything went well. So everyone, I just want to encourage everyone that it might look difficult, you might be afraid, but 1,000 steps only begin with one step. So you just have to tell yourself that you can do this, and you're able of doing this, because I went in there, I did the Access course, and I enjoyed it. I learned a lot of things from it, and now I started my first year, and now heading to second year. So it has been a good journey for me. It hasn't been easy, but you should always keep trying. So I'm really thankful and grateful for
Great. Okay, give us an interesting fact about yourself there.
Well, I would say I like laughing. Everybody knows me because of my laugh. Even Anya said that she missed my laugh. So I just, yeah, that's it.
Okay, you're right there. I'm with you on that one. Okay, as we said, this is really about students talking to students, but because some of my lovely colleagues are here, I'd like to introduce you to Enya for a minute. Enya, will you tell students what you're up to and what an interesting fact about yourself today?
Yeah, no worries. Hey everyone, I'm Enya and I'm an outreach officer in Access and Lifelong Learning. So I work a good bit with Thomond, going out and about and explaining the different courses that we offer. And I love my job, and as Clement says, I love laughing too.
Okay.
And my fact is I love laughing, but I also that I love the sea, that I love swimming in the sea. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and next, Catherine Tormey is our mature student advisor. Catherine, will you say hello and tell us something interesting about yourself?
Oh God, I'm struggling with something interesting. I'm not feeling like a very...
No, I don't believe it.
But yeah, so I'm Catherine and I work as the mature student advisor. So I help people or support students when they come into their undergraduate programs. But in general, I work with Access students in organising their finance and knowing about their financial entitlements in advance of going into their undergraduate degree. And I really like that. And I like Enya, I love my job. And my interesting fact that I'm really digging deep for is that I've developed a secret addiction to German reality TV.
Oh, okay. Interesting. And last but not least, Colin Smith, another of my wonderful colleagues. And Colin is the man who helps and supports the whole application process for the Access courses. And he also is the oracle on everything to do with the scholarships and everything. So you're going to get...
God, you're overselling it there, Thomond.
No, I'm not, Colin.
Just cut you off there. Sorry, I was a bit late to the party, but I managed to catch Emma's interesting fact. So I suppose that was the highlight anyway. So at least yeah, as Thomond said, I'm Colin. I do a lot of the pre-entry support for Access. So you're making an application for entry in September and you're having any difficulty with the application form or anything, you can pop me an email and I'll give you a hand with that. Like Catherine, I'm also kind of clutching at straws for an interesting fact. I wasn't prepared for this. I suppose I lived in China for 2 years, which might be, yeah, that's probably the most interesting thing I've done. So there you go.
Excellent. Thanks, Colin. Enya, now we'll come back and you'll meet the panelists and they'll answer any questions and they'll tell you some more about their courses and what their top tips and tricks that they think that they would like to pass on to you today. But first of all, Enya is going to do the magical technological stuff that's going to show us all that Access video that Emma spoke about earlier.
I always forget I have to unmute myself. So give me 1 second and we'll try again.
Good woman.
Hello there. We four, Natasha, Michael, Mark and Pearse, have completed UCD's Access to Arts and Human Sciences programme.
We want to share with you what the Access course has meant to us as individuals and as a group.
We thought about how we could describe this course, and we decided maybe the Access course is a bit like a layer cake.
Layer cake needs all kinds of different ingredients.
Just like our Access class. We all came from different backgrounds and embarked on the Access course for different reasons.
But it's when you mix all these individual ingredients together that it really gets interesting. And you start looking at the world in a different way than you did before.
Everyone I knew went to college except me, so that's what I thought of education. And now, 10 years later than everyone else, I've decided to go to college. I didn't think badly, I just didn't think it was for me. I just never thought I had the focus or drive to achieve anything academically. At school, I was a bit of a messer, joker. I kind of got it into my head that education in academics is not something that I can do. And that was the hardest thing to overcome. You actually can, if you focus enough at it. I don't think I'm gonna go. I mean, the Access program has opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. I mean, the first thing you're gonna do, obviously, when you come to college is do an essay. And nobody wants to be the person in class who says, I don't know how to do an essay. Access literally shows you how to write an essay. It shows you how to be academic, which is something that you didn't think you could do. It sets you up for college, for the course that you're going to do. It also gives you time to decide what course you're going to do as well, because a lot of people who come into Access don't actually know where they're going to go from there. So, I mean, I personally have chosen law. So when I come in here September to start law, I already know the library, I already know how to use the library, I've already been on the campus for a full year. It's not going to be a shock. I'm already ahead. It's priceless, really, that kind of inside information, I guess. The Access course gives you a sense of achievement, a sense of pride. You can only get through education, I suppose, and bettering yourself and improving yourself. And that's what I want. That's why I came here. I wanted that. It turns out I was actually quite good at learning, and I wanted to soak up everything that there was to know about being in college. So you could say I was the spongy base at the bottom of the cake.
Well, my education kind of finished back in the 70s. Back then there was 3 exams. There was a group cert, inter-cert and leaving. And I had done a brilliant group cert. I don't know what the reason was, but a couple of us were asked if we wanted to skip the inter-cert and go straight to the leaving cert. Being 14 or 15, I said, yeah, quicker to get out, you know. For me personally now, it proved too big a leap. And by the time the results came out to prove this, I was already in my first job. Once I got into that system, I just kind of went with the flow, like. And it's not only you get to a certain age, you start to think, you know, maybe I could be doing something else. Well, it was actually my wife. She was in insurance and she wanted a change of career. It was her that discovered the Access course. She actually went on to do her degree and a master's. She's now teaching leaving cert and inter-cert English. So that kind of inspired me, you know. But kind of the experience in the past, taking that jump, it seemed too much. So I said, I'll go the Access route as well, because the Access route to me was more of a stepping stone, like it prepared you more for the big drop, you know. We've also made friends with all our Access groups. So in my situation, kind of threw myself in with the younger kind of types, because they were all yappy and everything. And I says, if I can survive here, I'll be doing all right. My time in Access has been so sweet. You could say I'm like the jammy layer on our layer cake.
My experience of education back in the 70s wasn't very pleasant. I was glad to leave it. Was it Mark Twain said, "Oh, I never let schooling interfere with my education," and I was a bit like that. I was glad to leave it, and yet I had an abiding interest in English and an abiding passion for history, and I wanted to pursue that in some structured way. But I thought, to be honest, that education was a door that had closed. I mean, 30 years, coming back at 55, I felt that wasn't going to be possible. And then I heard about the Access course, came in, found out a little bit more about it, and then went through it and found the opposite was true. You know, the doors opened, there were loads of possibilities for somebody like me, and it was pointed out to me that my life experience, you know, the skills that I gained out there in the workforce were a positive advantage. So it took all those concerns away. That's a great feeling, and it is only through Access that you really get, in my view, a great overview as to the possibilities of education, and I'm delighted I did it, I really am. I'd hate to think of what it would be like if I hadn't done it, you know. And because it took me so long to get it, you could call me the layer of thick, clotted cream.
I just wanted to get back into education. Well, I was a childcare worker, and I just wanted a completely different career. I actually wasn't very academic in school, I have to say. I came in and left the bag at the door. I didn't really open many books. But yeah, I always had a want as I got older to go back to college and educate myself, because I didn't take school very seriously.
You know, they were talking about structure and everything.
I actually applied to the CAO 2 times. Once, obviously, during my leaving cert, and I obviously didn't get the points that I needed. And the second time that I applied was when I was 23, and I didn't actually get the course place that I wanted, so I was really disheartened by that. So actually, while I was in the process of doing the CAO the last time, I came across the Access course. For anyone that is scared of applying through the CAO, you should really consider doing the Access course, because once you hit that 60%, you are guaranteed a place in your degree program for next year. And without doing the Access course, I wouldn't be doing social science in UCD. Access has made me so much more confident about going back to college next year. So you could say that I'm the cherry on top.
So there you have it. A slice of life from 4 very different people. But mix them all together and they are transformed into something else.
So here's the recipe for success for the UCD Access course. Take a safe environment where it's okay to make mistakes.
Stir in the opportunity to explore UCD. Leave for just 20 weeks to grow your confidence and self-belief.
Then serve with the friends you make that will be with you forever.
So no matter who you are or where you're from, with the UCD Access course, you can have your cake and eat it.
As you've just heard, UCD welcomes and values our mature students. We have Access courses which guarantee entry to certain degree programs, including arts, social science, law, science, agriculture, and engineering. These courses help mature students to prepare and gain confidence before taking the big step into university. If you want to see more about these courses, have a look at our website or contact us at the UCD Adult Education Centre. I'll be looking forward to meeting you.
Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that. Since that video was made, I'm still Thomond Coogan, but as I said at the outset, we are now called UCD Access and Lifelong Learning, or UCD All. So our website is www.ucd.ie/all, but most of you have already been on our website. Okay, so let's go back to our wonderful panelists. Lorna, can I come to you first?
You surely can.
Yeah. What occurs to you that you'd like to get across at this point, having seen the video? And
I think the main thing that really sits with me at the moment is the truth of the fact that without the Access course, a lot of the students who have gone through UCD and come out with degrees wouldn't have done it. It certainly wouldn't have happened for me if I hadn't had the possibility of applying to the Access course. And being accepted to do the Access course was an incredible event for me. I couldn't believe that I had actually gotten in to do the Access course. And then the staff on the Access course are so supportive, and the experience of being in UCD and going in and doing classes and becoming familiar with the campus, and that's actually quite significant in terms of the step then to move on to actually be a full-time student. And the other thing is the fact that when you complete the Access course, if you achieve, is it 60% in all modules, you have the possibility of applying to the CAO and you're guaranteed a place. I mean, that's just a really phenomenal fact. It's really incredible. And certainly for me, the possibility of doing a science degree, of all things, would have been entirely impossible. Absolutely impossible had it not been for the Access course. So I think that's a really important point to make, that it's a massive door opening kind of machine, the Access course, you know. And the other thing I think I would really emphasize is how human everybody is, you know. Like I've seen a question about the interview, you know, and I think really, you know, obviously you have to prepare for doing an interview by getting your thoughts together or whatever, but you don't have to, you know, you're not being put on the spot, or, you know, it's really just to meet you and to hear your experiences and to see whether you are going to be suited and motivated and all the rest of it. It's not, nobody is trying to trick you or to catch you out or anything like that. You know, it's very, very much to help and support people to get in and on. And the other thing really in terms of the science and engineering Access course is I would emphasize, like Vivian did, the importance of the Math Support Centre. That really, it's really intimidating actually going into the Math Support Centre. It's very nerve-wracking the first couple of times you do it, but absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, it's of enormous benefit, and I would really emphasize that and encourage people who, because I know even some people that I did the Access course with struggled a little bit to actually use the Maths Support Centre, even though we had an introduction to it. So you have to sort of push yourself slightly to do these things. It's a bit intimidating maybe. But once you kind of get over that hurdle, you know, you just realize how much support you have, and it's so much easier then to actually engage and ask questions, and the more you engage and the more you ask questions and the more support you actually seek, you know, the more you actually get out of it, I think. And those supports are all there and genuinely really helpful.
Thanks, Lorna. Hayley, would you pop in here and add your thoughts?
I'd say to anyone looking to do it, like when I came to do this, I hadn't been in education for ages, and like I had a really tough time when I was in education, so I came in terrified, like so doubtful, so uncertain, and I feel like with anything kind of you do for the first time, you can feel that way. And the Access course teaches you how to be a student. Like it's there to support you and get you to where you want to be. So you're not supposed to start knowing everything. So I think like to anyone starting, to just give yourself that bit of time. And like with things being uncertain and like not knowing about the COVID-19 situation, like I might be young, but like I don't do things online. Like I don't like online things, but you learn how to do it. Like you will get there. It's unbelievable. Like the Access course has, like, I'm only going in to do my first year to a degree, and like my life has already changed massively. Like it is amazing, and everyone there is to support you and guide you on that way. So I'd say like, I think like with the restrictions going on, I think that's like the biggest kind of like, oh, will things change? Like, I'd still say go for it, because you'll be taught how to do things online, and gradually like you will learn how to do things online, because I did. And don't give up the opportunity if you're thinking about it, because like seriously, it's like the best thing you can do.
Thanks, Hayley. I should tell you that we have an Access mascot, and the Access mascot's name is Obot. And Obot is an elephant. And the letters in his name stand for one bite at a time. That is because you can only eat an elephant one bite at a time. So as Hayley was saying about the COVID restrictions and everything, but about the Access program in general, we're all in this together and we're taking it one step at a time. We're not quite sure how we're going to be delivering. We're planning and we're making all sorts of progress, and we'll let you know as we know ourselves how things are going to be actually in place for the first trimester of 2020. Okay, Emma, will you hop in here and share some of your wisdom and God knows what else with us now?
I'm going to be good, Thomond. I actually had one bite at a time written on my page here.
Excellent.
Yeah, the idea that it can all seem overwhelming, whether you have to juggle, you know, family life, finances, emotional anxiety maybe about returning to education, particularly maybe, as I mentioned earlier on, if you do have any needs in terms of dyslexia, maybe of ADHD, and you're worried about whether you can, you know, function sitting in a classroom and so on. Are you going to be able to take in what people are saying? But as someone who has sat in a classroom with some people who have such needs, I really saw UCD stepping up and supporting them in terms of, you know, whether it was equipment to record lectures, or whether it was giving them extra time or special arrangements for exams where they wouldn't have to be in a big exam hall, that they could be on, you know, in a room on their own, or different things. I was very impressed with that kind of thing. But I just want, if it's okay, Thomond, I just wanted to say a couple of things about what occurred to me having rewatched that video. It's still corny, by the way, but I just wanted people to know that
don't hold back, Emma.
The sense of it, I think, is very real, Thomond, that it does, it helps, doing the Access course helps to build your confidence. And what it does, I think, for people, maybe especially who've had a negative experience of education in the past, whether that past was 5 years ago or whether it was 40 years ago, is it kind of erases that background. It wipes the slate clean, because you turn up on your first day to your Access course and you have the opportunity to kind of grab these supports and take an opportunity and prove yourself as a learner. You don't have to be an expert, and you're not expected to be. You're just expected to do your bit as you go along, one bite at a time, and take on these nuggets that the Access lecturers and support team are giving you. And what that does then is you have something to feel good about in your life for people that maybe haven't had, who, you know, you're doing something positive, you're showing up, which I think is very important, actually showing up. You are engaging. If you engage, if you're shy, you don't have to necessarily speak out in class. You're not going to be put under pressure, but you're learning little things as you go along. You're getting assignments to do that kind of build up as you gain experience. And when you do an assignment and you know, you're learning the first bit, you get an assignment and you even go wrong. There are people there you can go to, then you get a result. And you can build on that, and everything that you achieve then is an achievement that builds your confidence. So I felt that by the time I got to the end of it, I had a wealth of knowledge about succeeding, about clicking in with supports like the Writing Centre. I mean, I remember the first day I turned up to that that open day in UCD, and they were saying, oh, and we're going to have this and that, and we're going to have someone from the writing centre. And I was thinking, Jesus, are there people here who can't write? You know, as in, like, they are really going to struggle, you know, if they're so brave showing up if they can't write, and didn't have a concept that, no, we're talking about how to write academically, you know, write an essay and formulate nice, coherent paragraphs and so on. So I think I also, from the video, was struck by the fact that people might have a view that the people that go to the Access course are very much older or might have left school a long time ago. But some of the people that I did the Access course with were 23. So, you know, you don't have to be decades out of school to do this, you know. And as somebody who went on then, should I talk about this, Thomond? Do you want me to say this now? Yeah, it's very important that you research your course properly, and your Access year gives you the opportunity to do that. All the modules are available online. You can check those out. I went in with a very juvenile view of what doing languages was going to be. I thought, oh, Italian, I'm going to be doing verbs, and I'm going to be, you know, learning vocabulary, and I'm going to be doing it all day, every day. It's going to be fabulous. But actually, in terms of my course, my Italian language was only 3 hours out of my 15 or 16 hours every week. So I had other things that I had to choose as well to kind of, you know, meet the criteria and so on. So I think course research is very important. But as you turn up, having done your Access course for your first year, as a mature student, with, as Barbara Fleming mentioned at the beginning, the benefits of being a mature student and being serious, you know, about the challenge and wanting to succeed, because you're going to be in a classroom or in a lecture hall with very confident 17-year-olds who really just want to get their D grade and, you know, just do the college thing. They're not really too concerned about what comes next. As a mature student, you're probably there because, you know, you've made a decision that this is what you want. I would say get to know the library, join your local library. There are books there that mightn't be available in college if people are using them. When an assignment is given, get your books early, because the young people coming in from school are not going to do that. They're going to wait till the last day. So if you wait, you know, you'll be competing with them, and form good habits. You know, that was important to me. But check the modules, I think, is critical to the whole thing, what you might be interested in, because I did languages and linguistics, and linguistics turned out to be something that I didn't expect it to be at all. And while I thought it would be very interesting, I've been taken aback by just how interested and keen on it I am. So there might be something, it might lead you to something you don't expect, but just do as much research as you can beforehand.
Thanks a million, Emma. Shane, how about you?
Hi, Thomond. The advice that I would give is, like, beginning the Access course and then going on further. It's like a new chapter in your life going forward. Like, everything is about to change. You might be working full-time, or you might have been out of education for quite a while. But starting off, I think everyone has them same nerves, and everyone's kind of, they're just not too sure about everything. But as they go along, your confidence will increase. And another big part of going to UCD is obviously the social aspect of it as well. The academics and all are brilliant, but you make tons of new friends. For the Access course, you're already going to have friends going into UCD, so you're going to have a good bearing on where you are, what you're doing. And just my advice would just be just to go for it, go head on, because you won't regret it. For me, it's been the best 2 years of my life. I found it phenomenal now, I have to really say.
Thanks very much, Shane. Lola, could you briefly tell us what tips you'd pass on now at this stage to somebody who's thinking about doing an Access course with us?
I'd say it's very easy to get overwhelmed, but you need to have the big picture. You know, you need to be looking at the big picture. There's so many days sometimes, because I have to be honest, when you just don't want to even get out of bed. But like Emma, I've got a little child as well, and it's always also about teaching him, you know, showing him the way, you know. So it's very important to look at the big picture when you're feeling down. And you should have a nice circle, or even go to the Access if you want to vent. But sometimes just venting helps. So just always look at the big picture, you know, where you need to be. That's what's important. You know, the little distractions will come, but just try to get up every day. Do what you need to do. Yeah.
Thanks, Lola. We're coming close to the end here. I can't believe how quickly the time has gone. Clement, would you unmute yourself there and give us your top tip to people who are thinking of coming in to do an Access course this year?
I would say, first of all, like if you're having any difficulties, right away, straight, where you don't understand, you need to ask the lecturer. You need to talk to them. You need to ask them exactly where your problem is. And if you have any difficulties as well, you can always talk to the Access staff. They're all friendly. Like in my case, Thomond is always helpful. Catherine Torney, she's always helpful. Barbara, Colin, Anya, all of them, they're all helpful. So you have to, whenever something is wrong, you have to open up and talk to them. And one other thing as well, you need to familiarize yourself with the writing center as well. I know when we are starting the Access course, we get overwhelmed. Oh, how am I going to write an essay? I've never written an essay before, or I've dropped out of school for a long time. But you need to be going into the writing center as well, so that they will help you, they will guide you to write a good essay as well. And I remember when I attended one of my first lectures of the Access course. Our lecturer, she said, don't compare yourself with others, because comparison is a thief of joy. I know there will be other people in the class, they will be doing more brilliant than you, but don't be discouraged. We all learn at different paces. Like myself, I'm a slow learner, but when I get something, I can't forget it. Once I get it, that's it. But then it doesn't have to discourage you. We all work at different paces. So like Lola said, and Shane said it, you should just do it. Forget about, I know sometimes you might feel like, oh, I don't belong here. I can't do this. Yes, those feelings, they are there, but you just do it. Just go ahead and do it. Don't worry about anything else. And so, and like, we should also, I would also encourage them to be using the Math Support Center as well. It's really helpful. Like in my degree, it's really helping me a lot, because I go there most of the times. I use the Math Support Center, and I would also encourage them that they need to familiarize themselves with the library as well, because the library is huge. So you need to know where your science books, for example, you want to study history or you're doing law, you need to familiarize yourself with the library. You need to know where to find those books. You need to ask, okay, I'm looking for this so book. Where can I find this book? So you need to know all these things, because the Access course, it really helps to build your confidence.
That's great. Thanks, Clement. We're running out of time, so I really want to get Vivian in as well. Thanks, Clement. Vivian, will you unmute yourself there and give us a top tip to incoming Access students? If you unmute yourself. Okay, Vivian.
Hello, I hope I'm clearer this time.
Yeah.
Okay, just like everyone has said, what I can say is I'm usually not this confident and bold, but my journey to Access has really made, as a result of it, what I learned from Access is time management. And then because I was open to growth and learning, I had a quote that said, if you are not willing to learn, no one can help you. But if you are determined to learn, no one can stop you. So that's all I have to say. If you're determined to UCD, all the help you need is there for you. Yeah, all the help out, the lecturers are there. We have mass support center. Like for myself, I was able to manage my time, and it really helped me in my first year. Usually, like I was surprised, mass support center was very helpful for me. For the first time in my life, I had an A in my maths. So it was, it was amazing for me. So I will say to anyone that is, trying to.
Okay, Vivian, thanks so much. We've
lost
the picture with you, Vivian. I'm wondering if Haley is still there.
Okay.
Haley, are you still there, Haley? No, I think we've lost Haley.
No, I'm here.
Oh, are you? Can you put on your video? We want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Give us your top tip to people coming into the Access course.
My top tip would be to make a study timetable. I find kind of setting out a routine and a study timetable, small. You will be told it when you start the Access course, but do it. Really having that kind of plan, it just kind of eases your head. I'm telling you, I was like, and then once I started doing it, I was like, it really makes a huge difference. I do it kind of with my day-to-day now even. And I'd say if you're in there, get to know the library on the days you are in there. That was a massive thing, getting to know how to use the library online and look for books, and actually going into the library and looking for books. That was a massive thing, because you're taught how to do it properly. So definitely do that. And when you're struggling and there's something you're struggling with, speak up immediately. Ask for help. Go source it out. Don't leave it to the back. Don't think, I'm stupid, or I should know what this is. Go and talk to someone. Go find out. Don't do it on your own. They're there to support you. We all struggle, but speak up when you do, and it won't seem as big once you let it out. Because I struggled loads last year, and I'm after flying through with my results, But one of the things I did do was learn to speak up and ask for help when I needed it. So they'd be my top tips.
Thank you so much. We've come to the end. I can't believe the hour has gone by so quickly.
Can I just add one very quick thing?
Sure thing, Lorna.
Which is just to say that maybe particularly for the Science and Engineering Access course, when you move on into your science course, it is an enormous advantage and help and support to have people who did the Access course with you, who went through that and have come from that background. And if you didn't have that, I think it makes it more difficult if you go in without that, certainly in the Science and Engineering one. So it's really worth doing it if you're thinking of going on to do the degree, because you will get and have that ongoing support over the 4 years, which lasts. It's really, really important.
Oh, people say it every year on both courses, that they can't believe the support and the friendship that builds up in the class groups, and you may never even know somebody's second name. You may never know their family name, but you'll be soulmates, because that's what the courses do. Okay, we've come to the end. I really want to thank the panelists who came along, because you were absolutely wonderful, and thank you for sharing your own experiences and your top tips and tricks. And also, can I thank my wonderful colleagues who came along this afternoon, and most especially Enya, who's the mastermind behind all of the very tricky stuff that I wouldn't be able to do in a month of Sundays. So can I refer you back to the Access and Lifelong Learning website for information and contact details. Barbara, thanks a million. I know you've been beavering away there on the questions and answers, but if there are any more questions and answers, we're here to answer them. We look forward to meeting you. Can can I just say to people who are frightened about the idea of doing an interview and everything, the very worst thing that can happen is that we tell you that you're not quite ready yet, and we give you some guidance and tell you what to do to get yourself ready. That's the worst thing that can happen. Everything else, you know, it's all good. Okay, goodbye and thank you. Cheers.